City Boy issue 6, Greg Pak writing with Minkayu Zhang on the art. So as the conclusion to this story, and we ended last issue with the city starting to take form, the avatars sort of appearing, because City Boy, after finding out what happened to his mother and finding her grave effectively hidden in the green, he is heightened emotions, everything's going down. Swamp Thing's trying to talk him down, and he's even trying to show him, look, hey, the city's trying to, like, all this concrete and stuff's rising up and it's trying to connect to Bloodhaven. This is really bad. But then Intergang intervenes, and the evil professor's like, haha, yes, City Boy, feel it in you, let it flow through you. He goes all Emperor. He starts talking like he's the Emperor from Star Wars. But he wants all this, and he's like, yeah, are you going to create one big city? It's going to be glorious, and it's all in the spirit of your mother. Like, your mother's like soul is embedded in the city that you're going to create, and this is the best thing for you. Swamp Thing, and I actually appreciated that Swamp Thing wasn't just a one and done. Like, he actually ends up being like a recurring character throughout this entire issue, trying to talk down City Boy. And then we see Dick, Bruce, and Clark all like in their various cities being like, hey, there's these big robotic or concrete like monsters are back. And Batman's like, the City Boy did this. And Dick and Clark are a bit more sympathetic towards him, and Clark's like, no, trust him. He just needs to gain control. He just needs to remember what it is. But parademons show up and start fighting all the heroes, and the idea is to keep them all busy whilst City Boy continues to do what he's doing, to the point where a version of his mother kind of is formed out of concrete and stuff, and it's all, you know, it's all building up. Hell, the scientist even drops a Dark Side Is on us. We get a Dark Side Is.
Yeah, so just the idea that Batman's like, nah, the City Boy's got to be taken out, and Dick and Clark are like, no, let's give him time, man. Swamp Thing's down there working with him. I like that characterization here, because, you know, Batman knows the greater good, you know. So all these cities are coming together, but it's what Makari-san tries to tell City Boy. And about like, oh no, yeah, your mother loved the city because of all these structures and all this other stuff. And it's Swamp Thing points out at the end that it's not, it's like the green, right? The green is about the connections to it. And it's not the city, it's the people that his mom, you know, that's what really it's about, is the people. And I like that was the through line with you know, of course, Dick and Clark, right, is like they're going to be the ones that trust the person in all of this. Yeah,
and Superman starts talking to the avatar, the big concrete avatar that's in Metropolis, thinking, oh, this is connected to City Boy, he'll hear me. And he's basically, City Boy sees like the people running for their lives and being scared in the city from the parademons. And this, you know, kind of makes him snap out of it. He says stop, and Swamp Thing starts to intervene with the vines to take out the Intergang soldiers at this point. But basically, City Boy looks up at this sort of statue that's been created of his mother with his powers, and he's like, I really wanted to find my mother, I dreamed of this, but this is a lie. This isn't her. So you just want me to grow this city for your own purpose. I'm not going to do it. So this all builds up to him effectively letting go of her and sort of moving on to some extent. So we see all the avatars all fall down in the various cities, and yeah, City Boy was able to save the day. And he's feeling bad that he kind of wrecked the forest and Swamp Thing's like, no, don't worry, the green will regrow. Like it'll live, it'll even thrive. Things will change. But we see that there's an actual tombstone for his mother where the previous makeshift one was. And Superman, Batman, and Dick are here now. And Batman even says something kind of sweet where he's like, be grateful you at least got a chance to love her, even if you're not sure if she ever really loved you. And like Superman and Dick are like, oh, that was actually kind of kind of nice. Batman just kind of grunts. He's like, "Don't point it out. Like, don't point out that I'm being nice and sentimental." So yeah, like, it has a proper ending. The whole story's been about him getting over the fact that he was abandoned by his mother, and him never getting like a proper conclusion to that and closure, and that was being exploited by the villains. But he ultimately was able to, like, no, I'm not going to have other people suffer because of what I'm going through. And then the end of the issue is him giving a Nightwing toy to a kid who lost theirs in the city chaos, and it walks off with him, feeling good about himself. And that's the end of the story. I think this has been a really interesting thing. The idea of tying his city powers into a concept like the Green with Swamp Thing, it definitely goes along with what Ram V was doing with his Swamp Thing run about the Parliament of Gears and all that stuff. So it was really kind of interesting to have this character effectively be the natural avatar for cities. It's just that he's not made out of city. He's just a regular kid, but
right, he's a person, which is what that point was. Is it's the people that make the cities, not the cities that make the people. And he's a member. He's kind of like a member of each city he goes through because he can talk to them. And I like that idea, like that he finds that Nightwing toy for the kid, because that's how we were introduced to him, right? He was finding things and selling them. So it's connections to people now, instead of him just looking for stuff to sell to get by. He helps this kid out because he's learned, that might not make him a hero, but it's more heroic than looking out just for himself.
Yeah, it was an interesting character with a cool story. It's a really solid little 6-issue mini. It's a very neat ending, so I don't think they ever need to do more with them. That said, though,
No.
I think his powers could lead to cool stories, but I don't feel like they're building to anything necessarily. Whereas Vigil clearly ended with a no, there's more of this. Like, this is not the end of this story. This is more of a neat finished conclusion. So, if you've been listening to us talk about this as it comes out and you're thinking about getting the collection or whatever, like, it is a full story. You get a satisfying ending. So, it's good stuff. So, what were you giving City Boy, Matt?
I'm gonna give it a 7.5.
I'm happy to go with the 8 in this. I think it was a solid ending. So, 8 out of 10 for me.